Hi, these comments are for NU and Merry Christmas. It is December 21st. We're getting close to the big day. I hope that you and your family have a holly jolly Christmas and you guys have a happy new year. 2021, how about that? All right, let's get to business here. So you completed a integrated speaking practice test. I'm going to listen to it and give you what I consider an estimated score based on the rubrics that we see on my desktop computer right here. And whenever you do a practice test, promise me this. Read the rubric and just concentrate on what it says in the for area that you see here. Really concentrate in those things. That's your target, right? You want to be highly intelligible. That's what you want to do. You want to have great control over your grammar and your vocabulary, and you have what's called clear progression of ideas that are required by the task, which means that you answer the speaking task and you give whatever required information you need to give based on the information from the reading or the listening passage. So always read the rubric.
In the lecture, Professor discusses two different approaches that companies use to determine the initial price of a product.
Okay.
The first strategy is when the initial price is kept higher, followed by a lower price later on. This is a way to attract customers, as the consumers get attracted knowing that the product that costs more is of higher quality. This way, the companies make huge profit, and even though the customers are aware that the product is expensive, since they want to buy the product soon, they spend more money.
Wow,
the second strategy is when the initial price of a product is kept low, and this is done to undercut the competitors in a saturated market. For instance, a newly starting computer maker will keep the price of its computer brand much lower than the other existing brands. This way, not only he will attract consumers who are even not willing to buy a computer, but also will impact current consumers to switch to his own brand. This company makes profit usually by encouraging the customers to buy accessories manufactured by this company. And these are the two strategies the professor explains.
Yeah, but you're 1 minute and 31 seconds here. So you're trying to include all the information, so you can't do that. I got to take off some points for topic development because you're 31 seconds past the limit, right? So I'm going to put you, I was going to say 25 to 27 because you did do a really organized job on explaining the information, but you didn't manage your time very well, so that's where you need to improve. Remember, you're summarizing the information from the lecture. Let's listen to this one more time.
In the lecture, Professor discusses two different approaches that companies use to determine the initial price of a product.
Good. So that's a really good introduction. You had some problems with your pacing, but that sentence exactly organizes your response. So you had a good strategy there.
The first strategy is when the initial price is kept higher, followed by a lower price later on. This is a way to attract customers.
This is a way for businesses to attract customers, maybe.
As the consumers get attracted.
Consumers, not consumers. So the S is an S there, not a Z.
Knowing that the product that costs more is of higher quality. This way, the companies make...
I would maybe say, in this way, companies, blah, blah, blah. So use a prepositional phrase first to precede the subject and the verb.
Huge profit. And even though the customers are aware that the product is expensive, since they want to buy the product soon, they spend more money.
Now that was a great complex sentence. You had a dependent clause embedded within another dependent clause. Wow. and it was correct.
Second strategy is when the initial price of a product is kept low, and this is done to undercut the competitors in a saturated market.
Good.
For
Great
instance,
vocabulary to undercut the competitors in a saturated market. The P and the B sounds, you still need to work on those. You have not mastered the P and the B consonants, even the T and the D consonants. You got to work on those sounds.
a newly starting computer maker will keep the price of its computer brand much lower than the other existing brands. This way, not only he will attract consumers who are even not
No, let's go back to what you said there. Not only will he...
computer brand much lower than the other existing brands. This way, not only he will attract
No, not only will he attract. So, okay, go to Google. Toefl subject verb inversions. I think you'll probably find my Better Toefl Scores lesson on that. You need to learn when you need to use subject verb inversions. And one of them is when you put negative words in the very beginning of the sentence. Not only will he attract blah, 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 but he will also blah, blah, blah. So when you put not only in the very beginning of the sentence, the word order is simple. I mean, it's complicated grammar, but here's what it is. Not only plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb. That's why I corrected you to say, not only will he attract.
consumers who are even not willing to buy a computer, but also
Consumers who are not willing to buy computers. Don't forget to put the S there.
impact current consumers to switch to his own brand.
I think you should review the S and the Z consonant sounds also. So the S in many cases is a Z. I agree with you, like reads. But you're not always sure when is the S an S, when is the S pronounced as a Z. So go to the pronunciation part of my course and study the S and the Z consonant sounds. I think that's an important lesson for you right now.
This company makes profit usually by encouraging the customers to buy accessories manufactured by this company. And these are the two strategies the professor explains.
I mean, your organization is just incredible. I mean, I'm going to say nothing about it other than it's very organized, but you didn't get everything in the 60-second time limit. That's where your problem is. Right? So you got to work a little bit more on eliminating some of those minor details from the lecture. You're going to have to let them go, or you're going to have to speak, 250 words a minute. So which is it? And I don't know if you're going to be able to get to 250 words a minute. That's pretty fast for any native speaker, really. So I think you need to let some of this stuff go. The minor detail information, cut it loose. Focus on the main idea and the most important supporting points, and let the rest go and get this down to 60 seconds. Okay, your score here, I was thinking initially 25 to 27 because it really is a really well organized and developed response. But you do have some minor delivery issues, and you have the one problem with your word order. So I'm going to say 24 to 26 points on this practice test.